Wise Pineapples. Welcome to the Juicy Tidbits podcast, where my mission is to energize you, your team, and your sweet results. I'm your host, Christine Trippi, the Chief Fun Officer here at the Wise Pineapple. Today, my amazing guest star is Bob Burg. Bob has spent over 30 years successfully showing entrepreneurs, leaders, and sales professionals how to communicate their value and accelerate their referral business. He is the co-author of The Go-Giver, which has sold over 1 million copies and has many prestigious recognitions, including, check this out, being ranked number 10 on Inc. magazine's list of most motivational books ever written. Congratulations, Bob, and welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
No wonder you're a hospitality expert. My goodness, you have a way of making someone feel very, very welcome. The applause and all. Wow.
The applause and all. Well, you are amazing. And I always love to show the book, but I have your book in a Kindle format.
That's okay.
So I've got it in here, everybody.
Well, same note, right? Same words.
Exactly. I love it. I loved your book, and I actually heard of your book. I just did a Wise Pineapple Yes is the Answer workshop at a Kimpton hotel, and one of the participants said, "Oh my gosh, have you read The Go-Giver?" And I'm like, "I haven't." I said, "Thank you for the recommendation." He says, "Everything you talk about is The Go-Giver. You will love it."
I love that. Wow.
Yes. Oh, I loved it too. And then so I immediately got it. And then when I shared about it as my Sunday sensational read on my platform, you were so kind and generous. I mean, you're a busy fella and you've got some major things going on. And you took time out to thank me, and you sent me a private message. And then that's when I said, "Hey, you want to be on my show?"
Well,
and look at this. Here you are. You know what? I just have.
And that's how friendships get started.
Yeah, it's so awesome. So thank you for being here. Thank you for really also walking the talk. That was awesome.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Well, why don't you share with our listeners a little quick review of the 5 laws? Are you comfortable sharing the 5 laws?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. Well, so the Go-Giver, which is a parable, so it's a story, and it was co-authored with John David Mann, who is really the guy. You know, he's the real writer. He's a genius. I'm a how-to guy. I'm step 1, step 2, step 3. In other words, I'm boring. Okay. John is a brilliant writer, so I was very fortunate to write, and I want to make sure he gets the credit for that. And the Go-Giver, the premise itself is really simply that, and hospitality people all know this because you all do this naturally. It's understanding that shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more pleasant way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable way as well. And not for some way out there woo-woo type of, magical, mystical reasons. It makes rational sense. When you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and focus on making that other person happy, on helping solve their challenges and problems, on discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire, on helping bring them closer to happiness, if you will. People feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They'll tell others about you, right? So that's really what the main idea of the book is about. And as you mentioned, there are 5 laws that work around that. And those laws are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. And the law of value, the first one, really just says that your true worth, in the business sense, of course, because you're worth immense amounts anyway, but in the business sense, your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment, which sounds counterproductive when you first hear that. Give more in value than I take in payment, we'll go broke, right? But it's simply understanding the difference between price and value. Price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the
Mhm.
end user or beholder. Uh, in other words, what is it about this, the product or service or concept or idea,
Mhm.
or this night here or this weekend here or whatever, that brings so much worth or value to another person that they will willingly exchange their money for it and be glad they did, while you make a healthy profit. Well, I mean, this makes such logical sense within the hospitality industry. Let's say
Mhm.
that someone stays at your whatever it is, hotel, resort, or whatever it happens to be, and
Right.
it's $500 a night. Okay, that's the price. But what do they receive from that? Well, let's say they're there on vacation. Let's just say they
Mhm.
had a relaxing time. They feel energized. They feel loved and taken care of, and
Yes.
they had all this fun, and they've had this refreshing, just amazing, right? Well, they
Right.
came away from this feeling they received much more than the $500 they paid. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, the hotel, of course, made a very healthy profit. So in fact, in any free market based transaction, if you will,
Mhm.
and when I say free market, I simply mean no one's forced to do business with anyone else. They could stay at any hotel they want to, right? They have a choice.
Mhm.
So in any market-based transaction, there should always be two profits. The buyer or guest profits,
Mhm.
and the business profits, because
Exactly.
each party came away better off afterwards than they were
Mhm.
before. And
Mhm.
that's really what we mean by the law of value.
I love that. I can relate to something. Well, first of all, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, it's so funny when I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh, I do that, and I didn't know that was a strategy. And you're just like, oh, that's a strategy. I just
I
thought.
have I have a feeling you do all the laws intuitively. So when you enjoyed the book, it wasn't because there was anything new in there that you didn't already know. You just related to who you already were.
Well,
And
it's nice to hear it in a different way. And there were some things I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And then like, how do I do that? And that sort of thing. So it was very enlightening, but it is neat when I read a book and I'm just like, wow, I didn't know that was a sales strategy. And so what I'm wondering for you is, how long did, like, this is obviously was who you are and why you and John put this book together. When did you realize what you were doing was a strategy? Do you have a memory of when that was, or hey,
well,
what? This is something I could teach people.
well, I was very fortunate to be born to parents who lived their life this way. And
Okay.
so I got to really kind of witness that firsthand. Now,
Mm-hmm.
and without seeing it as any kind of in the business sense, just seeing it in terms of the life sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I always saw, my um, parents who grew up very, poor in an immigrant type of,
Mm-hmm.
thing, and built a nice entrepreneurial business. Well, what did they do? They gave great value, and people wanted to do business with them, and they,
Yes.
you know, and so I always saw that. So I think intuitively it was something I was very fortunate to witness myself. Um, I would say though I really kind of got it as a real concrete type of concept after I'd been in sales for a couple of years and had been doing well, but not nearly as well as I could have been. Sort of like Joe in the story, right? In the Go
Okay.
Game.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
Joe.
remember Joe?
I
Uh,
love Joe.
we've all been Joe or Josephine. We've all
Yes.
been that kind of average person who just was
Mhm.
kind of had the potential but hadn't figured out. Maybe we're even doing some things counterproductive, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I remember being in a sales slump. And the bigger the slump I was in, the more I was focused on myself, which of course is deadly, right? Because
Mhm.
we have to be focused on, we need to be internally motivated, but outwardly
Right.
focused. Because
Right.
remember, no one's doing business with us because we have a quota to meet.
Right.
They're doing business with us because they believe they'll be better off by doing so, which is the
Exactly.
only reason they should be doing business with us. And so but one of the people at the where I worked, he was an older guy. He wasn't even in the sales department. I think he was an engineer or something, and he retired soon after. I didn't know him very well, but he was one of these people, and I know we've all known this type of person. He didn't say much, but whenever he did, it was always very profound.
Okay.
And I think he saw me as kind of Joe, who I'd write about 25 years later, as that ambitious, aggressive, young, up and coming, really working hard, getting at it, but very frustrated, and
Right.
whose focus was not in the right place. And he said to me one day, Berg, he was a last name kind of guy. He said, Berg, can I give you some advice? I said, absolutely,
Mm.
please do. I need it. And
Uh-huh.
he said, if you want to make a lot of money in sales, he said, don't have making money as your target. Your
Mm.
target is serving others. Now, when you hit the target, you'll get a reward, and that reward will come in the form of money, and you can do with that money whatever you choose. But never forget, he said, the money is simply the reward for hitting the target. It ain't
Mhm.
the target itself.
Right.
And what really hit me at that point was a realization that great salesmanship is never about the salesperson.
Mhm.
Great salesmanship is never about the product or the service, as important as those are. That's not what it's about. Great salesmanship is always about the other person. It's
Mhm.
about that person whose life you want to add value to. Really, it's
Yeah.
about that person whose life is better just
Mhm.
because you are part of it.
Yeah, I love that. I literally have goosebumps. I
Oh,
feel like I'm getting a whole little session here. I've like forgotten that I have an audience.
but you think, oh, thank you. But you think about it, as a hospitality professional, isn't that really what you're doing? You're focused
Yes.
on making that other person's life better. And it doesn't have to be the whole transaction. It's just that it's that one time in the hallway when
Mm.
when something's bothering them or they're confused, and you don't wait to be asked. You ask them, is there
Yes.
something I can help you with? Or, I'm just so, and you take them to where they're going, and you make sure they're taken care of, or if there's an
Mhm.
issue that, it's not your department, you still own responsibility for it until you get them to the person whose department it is. And
Right.
it's those little things. It's that smile when you greet that person, because you don't know what they've been through that day.
Mhm.
And it's a
And they're
warm,
right, especially right now, our industry is getting so beat up, and for many reasons, and so sometimes you just see that smile and you're just like, oh yay, that smile again. It's like,
yeah.
oh, it's really a different time right now, and that's the whole passion behind doing this, is just to remind everybody what we're all about, and to get back to that hospitality.
And
Um,
oh, excuse me.
no, go ahead, please,
No,
please.
you reminded me of a great point, because Kathy, my business partner, and I, we hold a Go Giver Entrepreneurs Academy a few times a year at
Oh,
a certain
fun.
hotel. And well, I was going to say that we know that that the hotel has had a tough time over the last year, and so we kind of really wanted to make sure we made them feel good. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Because we
yes.
do, and all the people we had at our conference, were the kind of people who were like that too. And so what we really wanted to do was make the hotel people feel good, and
Mhm.
because we knew they'd been going through
Yes. Well,
their things, and you could
as a
tell how much
hotelier,
they appreciated that.
yes, as a hotelier, we really appreciate it, and I know anybody listening out there appreciates that so much from all of our guests. And back to the sales piece of it all, throughout my career, I've been in sales once or twice, but more of catering sales and convention services. But I always was like, I don't want to do the sales part of it, because I don't like pushing people. I like serving people. And when it finally dawned on me, that's what sales is. It's all about serving. It's never about pushing people.
No,
And so I had to really learn that throughout the career, because I always thought, oh no, sales are the pusher people. I want to just serve people. And that was
Christine,
a big aha.
the old English root of the word sell is salan, which meant to give. So when you're selling, you're literally giving. Now,
I didn't know that.
right, I know, but isn't that just semantics? I don't think so, because here's the thing. Let's say you're in a selling situation. It might be talking about client about having bringing their convention to your
Mhm.
hotel. It might be about whatever it happens to be. Okay, but you're in a selling situation. When
Mhm.
you're selling, what exactly are you giving? Well, I suggest you're giving time,
Mhm.
attention, counsel, education,
Mhm.
empathy, and ultimately immense value. So
Mhm.
when you look at selling, exactly as you said, as serving, as giving,
Yes.
that's exactly, what we're
Mhm.
talking about.
And when I'm a visual person, and I'll read concepts in the book, and I always love that example. I love how you teed it all up with a story about Joe, because then I love to see things in real examples. I'm going to give everybody an example from me. And again, at this time, I had no idea this was a strategy. I just did it. And you know what? It's not, it's, I, and this is not necessarily a good quality to have. It can backfire on me too. But whenever I am working with people or talking with people, I'm always like, how do I solve their problems? Sometimes people just want you to be there to listen, but
Well,
I
so that's right. Oh, I get that. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I have that tendency as well. So
Yes, I always
I
want to
always have
solve
to get
everyone's problems. Yeah. Here. So when we would do sales calls, and we would go and do like sales blitz throughout our industry, in our market, every place where I was connecting with people, we'd talk and connect, and I'd hear, and I'd start solving their problem. Oh, well, I have some ideas on that. And I said, you know what? This is what our sales blitzes are going to be about from now on. Every time before we go out, we're going to think of something we can do to help the businesses we're visiting, how they can thrive. And it first started back in Illinois when gay marriage became illegal. And so we were visiting all these catering, very small mom and pop type catering facilities, and they didn't know anything about it really and how to tap in. I was like, have you tapped into this market yet? And I gave them all these great resources to tap into that market. Well, soon we became the number one hotel for all of these different venues, because every time we went out, we were helping them be more successful.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and then like reading your book, and I was like, yeah, that's a strategy.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what a great story.
Yeah. So think about that for all of you out there, in your sales journeys, what is it before you go out? What is it you were going to offer of value, like our number one law, to help the client? And I just love that so much. I thought that was one of the first things I was thinking about when I was reading about that law. That's so funny. So now I know one of the principles in the book is influence.
Mhm.
And in our industry, I've always recognized influential leadership. Whether no matter what your title is, if you don't have a title or you do have a title, I've known leaders who lead through influence. And so I love to hear a little bit more about that, what that means to you, and being an influential leader.
So you brought up something earlier that was brilliant, and you didn't even know it.
I love being brilliant when I don't know it.
You were talking about sales and thinking, well, I don't want to be pushy. I want to serve. Well, it's the same with leadership and influence,
Yes.
right? So you think about what is influence, and I think it's best to take it on two different levels.
Okay.
There's the basic level, the definition of influence, right, which is simply the ability to move a person or persons to a desired action, usually within the context of a specific goal. By definition, that is influence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the definition. It's not its essence.
Right.
The essence of influence is pull, not push. Right?
Okay, I love that.
Great influencers don't push themselves. They don't push their ideas on others. They're not pushy, right? You never hear people say, hey, that David or that Suzanne, she is so influential. She has a lot of push with people, right? No, she's
You're telling me
influential.
what to
She has a
do.
lot of pull with people.
Right.
Well, that's what influence is. It's pull, it's an attraction. Great influencers attract people first to themselves and only then to their ideas. Now, the question becomes, how does that manifest? How does what we call a genuine influencer, how do they do that? Well, first, I think any great influencer understands on both an intellectual level and a heart level.
Mhm.
What I believe was Dale Carnegie's underlying premise in his classic How to Win Friends and Influence People. And this is
Yeah.
where he wrote, ultimately, people do things for their reasons, not our reasons.
Mhm.
So the great influencer ask themselves questions first to make sure they're facing in the right direction. Your focus should be on them. Now,
Mhm.
internally motivated, outwardly focused.
Mhm.
Okay? So the genuine influencer ask themselves questions, and I know you do this intuitively, and that is, how does what I'm asking this person to do, how does it align with their goals, with their
Mhm.
wants, with their needs, with their desires? How
Mhm.
does what I want this other person to do, how does it align with their values? Right?
Mhm. I love
And
that.
yeah, and again, this is whether sales or leadership, which is all influence, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So when we ask ourselves these questions thoughtfully, intelligently, um, genuinely, authentically,
Right.
not as a way to manipulate another human being into doing our will, but as a way of building everyone in the process, now we've come a lot closer to earning that person's commitment as
Mhm.
opposed to trying to depend on some type of compliance. You know, real quickly, one of my greatest mentors, her name is Dondi Scumaci. She's just a wonderful human being. She works with some of the biggest companies, teams in the world on mentorship and leadership. Here's what Dondi says, and I think this is so brilliant. She says, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to influence, compliance will never take you where commitment can go.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that just gave me goosebumps.
Well,
My last
Dondi is pretty brilliant, like
Yeah,
you.
what was
You'd love her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was her last name? I
Yeah,
loved it.
and it's Dondi Scumaci.
Schumacher.
DondiScumaci.com. It's
She sounds like an Italian.
Scumaci. Yeah, well, her husband is, but
Okay.
she goes right in there with it. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I'm definitely gonna look her up.
yeah.
And it reminds me when just speaking of that, again, I love to give a visual. When I was with Marriott, my last role there as an operations director across the country is it was all influential. I didn't hold anybody accountable to their goals and whatnot. I was all influential. And I remember okay, we need as a portfolio to increase cleanliness scores across the way. And I could say, compliance, you've got to do this and whatnot. But instead, I went with our area directors, and I said, I understand that your review, we had a special name for it, but just to explain, your performance review is based off of the cleanliness scores. And I want to make sure you are getting your full, bonus potential, your da 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 da. And here are some ideas I
You
have
made it
on
about
how.
them. Oh, I love you. You're amazing.
Well, I don't know about that, but just putting that great message into a tactical real life idea. If you're working with someone, what is their bonus on? What is their success or results based on? And then tie it into that. I love that, and yeah, thinking about how you can influence them by helping them win, not by helping you win.
Focus on them. If you remember
Yeah.
those 3 words,
Yeah,
focus
honestly.
on them.
Focus on them.
I mean,
I love it. I love it so much. Do you have? There's so many things I want to ask you. Is there anyone? Because you're in the business of sales, and I really realized that going off on my own to consult and speak and all that is really all about sales, because it's not about speaking and consulting. It's about getting your next gig.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, whoa. So do you have any 1 or 2 great tips for the salespeople out there?
And first of all, I've got to say, I can't imagine any company not wanting to have you keynote their conference or convention. You can put that as a quote,
Okay. Oh, I'm going to. I love it. I appreciate that.
Let's see, we can add to that. Let's see. She is an absolute delight, knowledgeable, wise, wonderful. dot, dot, dot. You know how they always have those on the,
Yes, yes. I'm gonna clip this. You're the best, Bob. So any other like real juicy sales tip that you like, oh, this, I mean, aside from everything we just talked about, it's about service, it's about giving the value, but anything that stand out to you?
Yeah. It's understanding that you communicate value by asking questions.
Yes, yes.
And then listening, because what is selling really? By definition, I'd say it's discovering what the other person wants, needs, or desires and helping them to get it.
Yes.
Well, how do we know? How do we know what because as human beings, we all see the world from our own unique viewpoint, our own personal belief systems, right? Based on, upbringing, environment, schooling, news media, everything that comes into our, we see the world a certain way. And we tend to think that everybody else sees the world basically the same way, which makes intuitive sense. How could it be any different? It's all we know, right? But it's not true. They value different things in different ways.
Yes.
I always use the express. I speak to a lot of real estate groups, so I use the example of a realtor showing someone around a home and being in the living room and saying, "Oh, you know what I love most about this living room?" Well, who cares? It's what they love the most about
Right,
it.
right. What do you love about
Right. So, so you may think like with your property that there's a certain thing they should love about it. You don't know that's true.
Right.
What you find to be a very valuable aspect of your property might mean nothing to them.
Right.
Or it might mean a lot to them. You don't know until you ask the questions.
Yes. With weddings, one of the questions I love to ask is what is something you really loved at one of the weddings you've been to recently? And what's something you didn't like at one of the weddings you've been to recently? And then it really starts to help, identify.
Exactly.
Yes, I love that. That's questions. And even questions like this, if you want to go right into your pitch or right into what your benefits and what your offer is, but if you even just say, can I ask you a few questions to establish how I can personalize this experience for you? And if you ask those questions, again, a lot of what's in my book about putting the guest in control is you're putting them in control and they're saying, yes, you can ask me those questions or no. But if you just go right into it.
We always like to ask, for permission to ask questions. Oh, absolutely. I told you, I love you. You're the best.
I love you.
You could have written the book. We're going to retitle the book. You and John Mann have now written that, The Go-Giver.
No, not at all. But it just spoke to me so much. That's why I shared it as one of my Sunday sensational reads and all that. I love it. You guys are awesome. All right. So now, as a hospitality gal, I've got to ask you. I could sit here for all day, but I know I'm going to respect your time. As an elite member or a loyalty traveler, I know you're a big traveler. You travel all over the world talking about your book and whatnot. And consulting companies. What is something that makes you feel appreciated and valued as a loyalty member? I love asking my guests this.
So I think in a sense, it goes back. If you've ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, and he was talking about the different ways we experience love, right?
Yeah.
But that actually works in all areas of life.
Yes,
in terms of. So my top one, and for those who haven't read the book, you won't necessarily know the reference, but it's a great book. So if you get a chance to read The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, but one of them is acts of service. And I think what means a lot to me when I stay somewhere or when I go somewhere is when they do something that is not expected of them, but they're doing it to make my life easier.
Yes. Goosebumps. Does anything stand out that a hotel has done for you like that?
Oh gosh.
I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, it's not that it's putting me on the spot. It's just there are so many times that happens.
I love that.
It's like I can't really, think of one. So for example, one of them on his list is gifts. Gifts to me isn't a big thing. So like when I get the, the big fruit basket, things like that, well, I enjoy the eating it, but that's not, to me, that's not a big thing. That's just, it's nice. It's a nice touch, but it's not something that means a lot to me.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm not a gift person. But
Right.
when I know that, like, let's say we have something with our room, because when we hold a conference somewhere or something, and the people, and I just seem to meet so many nice people when they'll go out of their way to like open something, move it around, ask us, do you need this to do, to me, those things, those acts of service say we care.
That, yeah, 100%. I can think of so many. I spent my life living to do those things. And that's why I love asking this question to see, because again, everybody is different. Somebody might think, oh, I love having the fruit basket.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's, you make a great point. It's different people value different things differently.
I have a great
absolutely.
Yes. So one time as a general manager, I sent at the end of the year, I was kind of like wrapping up, sending it to all my top 50 guests that stayed, throughout the year and whatnot. And I sent them a little survey, finding out how I can make their stay more awesome in the new year. And one person wrote back, that, can you put the garbage cans back at the outside entrance? And I said, hot damn tamale, man, yes, I can.
Yes.
So yes is the answer. Okay, now I'm going to really put you on the spot.
Okay.
Do you want to share what your favorite brand of hotel is?
Oh, God. Again, I have just, just as a speaker, I've gotten to stay in some of the most fantastic places. And again, it's the interesting, when I say fantastic, I'm not as concerned about the bells and whistles as much as when I say, I'm thinking about how they've gone out of their way to make the stay well. So again, it's just how we picture things.
Yeah.
I've got to say that throughout the years, consistently, I've always found Marriott to be, just a consistently wonderful brand. I mean, they've just always been fantastic with me.
I love it. And is there any particular sub brand in the chain? There's 30 brands.
Personally, I happen to love Courtyards.
Oh, very nice.
Because to me, again, I'm a convenience person. So to me, everything about Courtyards is really, really convenient.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Staying at those big fancy resorts, it's fun and it's exciting, but it's like so much. It's like you need GPS to find.
Right. Well, exactly. And see, I'm a convenience person.
Yeah,
so to
like
me,
I
yeah.
I have to show you something. I've got my Captain Courtyard right here.
That's great.
That's the last brand that I was a general manager at.
Oh, okay.
So I love Courtyard too. I love Courtyard. You're just so great. I swear I could talk to you forever. But as the chief fun officer here at the Wise Pineapple, I want to make room for a little bit of fun. And I know that you are an unforgivingly, unapologetic animal fanatic.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
All right. So tell me, first of all, you must have a pet.
I don't now. My last one passed, and so I've been fostering kittens, rescue kittens. I'm one of the people with an organization that I'm one of their fosters. So usually have about 2 or 3 at a time. We get them all taken care of. We get the kittens fat and healthy and ready for them to be spayed and neutered, and then move on to their forever homes and so forth. So yeah.
Now, your pet that you just recently had, what was his or her name?
That was Calvin, the cute little cat. He was my best buddy for 5 or 6 years. Got him. I think he was a rescue, and he was we think he was about 5 or 6 years old. Oh. And he was just a delight. I just adored him. Now, so the interesting thing is, I grew up with dogs. First of all, I love all animals, but I was a dog well, I still am really in my heart dog person. We always had 2 or 3 dogs at a time, and It's difficult because of all the travel I do. It's difficult, and I live in a condo, so it's kind of difficult for me to have dogs. So, so so having Calvin, that was cat was a little easier, and of course with the babies, the foster kittens,
Uh-huh.
they stay in the house, so it's not some. Of course, Calvin stayed in the house too, but we had a patio that he could go out on. But cats should be in the house. There's really no reason for them to be outside.
Right,
They're
right.
dangerous, actually. And so, but yeah, so I'm kind of at this point a cat foster daddy. And
I love it.
yeah.
Now, in your life, have you ever had a unique pet?
Unique in what regard?
Maybe like just a different kind, like not a cat or dog.
Oh, no.
Oh,
No, I haven't.
I have had a bunny.
They're cute. They're sweet.
Yeah, they are so cute. I loved it. I call my husband Bunny, so when we decided to get a bunny. So that's so funny. And have you ever gone on a trip with one of your dogs or cats or pets?
No,
No,
never,
okay.
no, never have. And
Yeah.
but whenever I've left, we always, Calvin always had a babysitter, so there was, he didn't have to be alone. He did not like when I left.
Yes.
And,
Well, we have a lot of brands in Marriott and in Hilton and in IHG, all of the brands that are pet friendly. So even if just to get your pet fill, you might want to stay at a pet friendly hotel and just run into those dogs.
Oh, I love when that happens.
I
love when that happens. Yeah.
All right. I've got a couple fun questions just for you. Okay. All right. Complete this sentence.
All right.
Something that would surprise you about me, meaning you, is what would surprise us about you?
Oh, that I'm very, very much an introvert.
That is so shocking. So many speakers are introverts.
Mm-hmm.
That is very interesting. It does surprise me. I am not.
Oh, gee, I could never would have in any way,
Ever. All right. If you could do something dangerous just once with no risk, what would you do?
Okay, so here's the thing. I wouldn't. I am a chicken. There would be a Jeopardy question, and I know you jumped out of planes and all that stuff. There would be a Jeopardy question. The answer is it will never ever happen. The question is, Bob Burg, what is Bob Burg jumping out of an airplane or doing anything dangerous? Yeah, no, it'll never, ever happen.
Never happen. Okay. All right. Maybe even just trying spicy food.
No.
I think I'd rather jump out of a plane than try spicy food. All right. Okay. Here's a big one here. If you could have 2 front row tickets to any concert, who are you seeing?
So I think Heart with Nancy Wilson and Ann Wilson. I think Ann has the voice of an angel, and Nancy, I think, is such an amazing guitar player. And I'd love to see them in person. In fact, I on Twitter, there was a thing where they were going to be doing a tour, and I wrote and say, "Are you coming to South Florida?" Because as soon as I knew it, I'd have been buying first row seats to that one. And again, I don't leave the house. I'm an introvert. I really don't go anywhere. I would go to watch them play.
That really surprised me, and that's awesome. I would be with you there.
Yeah. And let's see, you said 2 concerts, so I'm trying to think who else I would see. I mean, there's so many great, talented, amazing.
I know.
Who else would I see? Gosh, I'm thinking like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but now I'm like really dating myself. And of course, I think it was Emerson who passed away, unfortunately.
How about for this one, a living or dead?
Gosh, the Beatles would, that would have to be right up there.
Right up there. For me, it would be Elvis.
Oh yeah. Well,
did you ever get the chance to do that, to see Elvis?
Did I? No, I never did.
No.
As old as I am, I never did get a chance to see him. Nope.
Yeah, I would. I know a few people who have actually had the chance to see him.
Must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, I know that would totally be mine. It would be Elvis. But I don't know the one you just mentioned, Emerson.
Oh, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They were very big when I was growing up in the 70s. They had a couple of great, well, they had a number of great songs, but a couple of them were like Karn Evil 9 was like their biggest hit. Lucky Man. They had a few. You'd recognize them if you heard them.
Okay.
But they've been kind of out of the picture for so long now that you might not. Yeah.
But that would be great. I love it. Well, tell everybody where they can connect with you and learn more about your book and about you and your animal advocacy. Maybe if you have a special charity, share that too.
Oh, you know what? Okay. So there's a woman in India, and let me, so I'm gonna have to get you her address. She feeds the street dogs of India in her town, and believe me, she can use any donations that she can get. I mean, this is not a wealthy woman. This is a person who she dedicates her life to feeding but I'll get her PayPal link and send it to you.
Perfect. I'll put it in the show notes.
That would be awesome. Oh my gosh, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
Other than that, people can connect with me at burg.com. They can check out my books and get a chapter if they'd like to see if they can read a chapter first to see if they like where it's headed. Then they can always click through to Amazon or wherever they'd like. And then the other thing is we have a weekly membership community called Go Giver Success Alliance. And it's really cool because we meet doing a Zoom meeting once a week, although we have things going on. As long as someone has a smartphone, they can be connected with us, 7 days a week, 24 hours. But we have one weekly Zoom call with some very successful people. And there's about 35 or 40 of us who meet, and we exchange ideas, we learn together, we share, we discuss, we strategize, we collaborate, we build these amazing relationships.
Love it.
That would be something I would welcome people to take a look at. It's really
I love it. And I've got the link up there too. And I'll put all that in the show notes. That's perfect. Well, I know I took you over time, and I just appreciate I could sit here all day with you.
Well, likewise.
Thank you. But we end every huddle with great energy. You want to end the huddle with me with some great energy?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I think our phrase of the day was it's about them.
Focus on them. We can say it's about them. That's fine. Let's go with it's about them. I like that one even better. Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Start 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3.
You choose.
Okay, we're gonna go. Oh, well, I'm gonna be wild and crazy and go backwards here.
Everybody put your hand in, and Bob's gonna count us down.
3, 2, 1. It's about them.
I love you so much, Bob. Thank you so much for being here.
Likewise.
I really appreciate you. Keep doing the good work.
You too.
Thank you, Bob.